As we draw closer and closer to the end of the 2025-2026 Premier League season, speculation has already kicked off in regards to who deserves to be voted the PFA Premier League Player of the Year. Well, a couple of names have been thrown around with fans of respective clubs wishing it for their own, but also there is a general consensus that some players have had a season far superior, if not more consistent, than the others. The question oftentimes is, what is the criteria for one to be voted PFA Player of the Season? We'll be exploring what those criteria are and also diving into what are those names, at least 6 players that are contenders or the leading contenders for PFA Player of the Season. Welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. I wish to say thank you so much to all our new subscribers that have recently joined the community. I said do enjoy your stay here. Do not just stop at subscribing. Go ahead and watch, like, share, and comment. But also give us your feedback really in that forum. So with that said, oftentimes fans get to wonder, what is the criteria for choosing the PFA Player of the Season? To be honest with you, it's always a number of factors are considered, but usually overall impact and performance of an individual player comes into play. Also, his success with the club in terms of if they've won any competitions, whether be it domestic cups or the Premier League itself, comes into play. So it's not just about the performances in the Premier League alone. Cup competitions also matter, as well as their overall performance in Europe should their club be performing in Europe. Sometimes you'll find that a player could be a contender, but their club is not in Europe. Well, they do not hold it against them that their club was not in Europe in the first place. So, but also availability, because like I've said before, the hallmark of an exceptional player is not just about the ability on the ball and consistency. You must also be consistently available to help your team. So those are some of the factors that are considered alongside with your professional conduct, your individual conduct. Sometimes players will miss out on this accolade due to misbehavior, due to poor behavior, a lack of professionalism. So that is, those are some of the guiding principles or the criteria through which they go through to vote the PFA Player of the Season. So here is a list of 6 players in chronological order, in my perspective, on who I think should deserve to win the PFA Player of the Season. In number 1, I have Arsenal's Declan Rice. Yes, by far one of the most consistent players that we have seen across the season, be it in the Premier League or in their exploits in the UEFA Champions League. Of course, he did feature in some cup games, especially when it reached to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, including his feature in the final. In the Premier League alone, he's managed to score 4 goals and provided 5 assists, while in the UEFA Champions League, he's had a contribution there with a goal and 2 assists thus far this season. Now, it goes without saying that in as far as the EFL Cup is concerned, he is a losing finalist. Yes, they lost to Manchester City, but nonetheless, you cannot take the credit away to him that at least he helped his team get to the finals. As we speak, they are still in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, as well as the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League, where they will be playing against Southampton and Sporting CP or Sporting Lisbon, respectively. So, given his overall consistency across the period of the season, I think he does deserve the accolade. But it just doesn't end there, because Declan Rice also brings leadership to this side. Now, his leadership qualities are there for everybody to see. I don't know if you've noticed, but there has been a pattern across the campaign this season. In the absence, predominantly, of Martin Odegaard through injury, it's often Declan Rice that has been picked out to come and speak to the media. Do you think that is by coincidence or it is intentional? I'd want to believe it is intentional because he does know how to offer leadership, whether he is speaking to the media, whether he is speaking to his teammates, or expressing himself on the pitch. So I think he deserves to be number 1 contender for PFA Player of the Season. And in fact, even the bookies have him as number 1. So who am I to say otherwise? But anyways, perhaps they read my mind or I read their mind. Anyways, in number 2, I'll go with Arsenal's Gabriel Magalhaes. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, why are you saying, you said number 1 was Declan Rice, number 2 is Gabriel Magalhaes? Yes, that Arsenal team are on top of the Premier League table for a reason. Whether they will be able to go and see it out and get the Premier League title over the line remains to be seen, or is another whole different story. But you cannot take away the fact that Gabriel Magalhaes has been pivotal to everything that Arsenal have done this season. Of course, he's missed as many as 6 Premier League games, therefore leaving him with 25 Premier League appearances after 31 games played, but take nothing away from him because he has 3 goals and 4 assists in that run of spell. In the UEFA Champions League, he's managed to score 1 goal and provided an assist, and he was pivotal to helping his Arsenal side reach the finals of the Carabao Cup that they lost to Manchester City by 2-0 just over a week ago. Then, like I said, the same story with Declan Rice. He's in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League and the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. But more importantly, he is a leader in that Arsenal backline. Now, for all good teams, in every department, there must be a leader. And for Arsenal, Gabriel Magalhaes is that leader in their backline. Without him, it is visible that they lack that element of leadership. They lack that fierceness. We know he offers them that. Big Gabby, as is often referred to, did join the club, I think, in the summer of 2020, and he has gone to become a better and better defender over the years. So, yesterday somebody asked me the question, why are people fronting Gabriel Magalhaes ahead of William Saliba? To be fair to you, Gabriel Magalhaes, I think, has had slightly a better season than William Saliba. It's not to say that Saliba has not had an impact on Arsenal's exploits thus far this season. It's simply to say that the Brazilian has edged him. He does offer the leadership, which oftentimes William Saliba, his way of leading is by doing things, whereas Gabriel Magalhaes will often be seen organizing that backline, helping his teammates know where to be. But it doesn't just end there. When they go across the other side, during set pieces, he's always one of the players that they are looking out to find because they know he can head that ball into the back of the net. He's very critical to their set pieces. But in overall play, I think he's been quite a tremendous performer thus far this season. And should Arsenal get it over the line and win the Premier League title for the first time in 22 years, his contribution will have been enormous. As we speak, he's out through injury because he did pull out of the international duty exploits with the Brazil national team after reporting pain in his knee. Then, in third place is Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes. Yes, it is very unfortunate that his club did not qualify for Europe, and therefore he has not had anything to say for himself in as far as European competitions are concerned. But nonetheless, breaking the record for most assists in a single Premier League season of any Manchester United player is no walk in the park. That tells you his significance and impact on that Manchester United side. As we speak, Manchester United are third on the Premier League log with 55 points after 31 games played. Under the charges of Michael Carrick, there's been quite a resurgence of performances from players like him, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Kobe Mainoo, among others. But the 31-year-old Portuguese international has provided 16 assists thus far and scored 8 goals. That's a 24 goal involvement? Is it 24? Yes, 24 goal involvement in the Premier League alone. Unfortunately for him, his maybe undoing in this conversation will be the fact that his team were knocked out quite quickly of the EFL Cup at the first time of asking against Grimsby Town, as well as falling against Brighton and Hove Albion in the FA Cup. But in terms of discipline, he is quite a disciplined player. He is the captain of that team, and he always leads with his performances. Whenever they've needed a player to deliver, he has come through, whether it's taking a brilliant free kick, floating in the right ball from a corner kick, or scoring from the penalty spot, because at least 6 of the 8 goals he scored have come from the penalty spot. So I think his contribution is quite tremendous. Like I said, he's become the first Manchester United player to provide more than 15 assists in a Premier League season. The holder of that record was David Beckham in 1999-2000 season, when he provided 15 assists across the entire campaign. In fact, some people are going ahead to root for him to break the record for most Premier League assists in a single season, which is held by Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne at 20. Then, of course, the other players that did contribute many assists for Manchester United, I think there was Louis da Cunha Nani. I think that was in the 2010-2011 season. And then you had Antonio Valencia with about 13. But prior to that, you had Beckham with I think, with 13 assists as well in the season of 1997-98, thereabout. So his record-breaking assists so far this season in Manchester United colours, in addition to marking 105 goals in Manchester United colours as well as 100 assists or more, puts him just in number 3 of Manchester United players that have managed those numbers in terms of north of 100 goals and 100 assists. Ahead of him is Wayne Rooney, the club's record goal scorer, and arguably one of the most longest serving players in Manchester United history, in Ryan Giggs in second place. So really, the Portuguese international has been quite a good servant for the Red Devils, and therefore I put him third in the contenders for the PFA Player of the Year. In number 4, I'll go with Anton Semenyo. Now, Anton Semenyo, oftentimes players who play at mid-table teams will rarely get the shout-out for these kinds of accolades. Now, he did start his season at AFC Bournemouth, where he did score majority of his Premier League goals thus far before joining Manchester City in the January transfer window. As a collective, he scored 15 Premier League goals and provided 4 assists. He did help his side win the Carabao Cup when they beat up against Arsenal in the finals by 2-0. The 25-year-old Ghanaian international's contribution to both AFC Bournemouth's exploits this season as well as Manchester City in their pursuit for glory has been visible for the world to see. While they got knocked out of the UEFA Champions League at the hands of Real Madrid at the round of 16, take nothing away from him because they are in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, for which they are waiting to play against Liverpool in the first weekend after the international break. And he has a direct hand in that competition as well. Because remember, they beat up against Newcastle to get to that stage of the competition by 3-1 at the round of 16. So really, I find that Anton Semenyo, a very, very versatile forward, has been having quite a tremendous season, and therefore he deserves to be in this conversation for PFA Player of the Season. His discipline is without question, as well as his professionalism. He's a team player, but also his individual quality is there for the world to see. Moving on from Anton Semenyo, the other player I want to point out to is Manchester City's Brad Erling Haaland. Yes, 22 goals to his name so far this season in the Premier League with 7 assists. Last season, he had a total of a 25 goal contribution, scoring 22 Premier League goals in 31 appearances with only 3 assists. This season, although the second part of the season, he hasn't been as consistent as he had been in the first part of the season, where he scored 19 goals in 17 appearances. It makes him no less a contributor because he has the overall most high contributions of goals for a Manchester City player with 22 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League alone. In the UEFA Champions League, he's managed to score 8 goals in 10 appearances. Therefore, Brad Erling Haaland, the 2022-2023 PFA Player of the Season, has been quite brilliant for his side. Manchester City are second on the Premier League table behind Arsenal, and he has been a very, very big part of that reason, part of that success. His discipline is not in question, as well as his professionalism. His individual quality is equally as good. But like I said, his second part of the season is not been good enough. That's why I left him out of my Premier League Team of the Year ahead of Igor Thiago. So for those of you that are interested in understanding or knowing what my Premier League Team of the Season is, or best 11 of the season, please go over to the channel under the video section or check under the description of this video. You will find that link in the description. So Brad Erling Haaland, I thought, has been really, really good. Helped his team get to the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League, reach the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and also helped his side win the Carabao Cup, when they beat Arsenal in the finals. So I thought, or I do think, he does deserve to be in the conversation for potential or for candidates that could win PFA Player of the Year. The final player on that list is Igor Thiago. Igor Thiago, what a revelation. Most people tend to think that he is a new signing for Brentford, yet he was there last season and made as many as 8 appearances in the Premier League. But it is this season that he has been born. He has been literally reintroduced to the Premier League. After Brentford lost the likes of Yohan Wissa, Bryan Mbeumo to Manchester United, as well as Newcastle on the other side, he has come out as the talisman for Keith Andrews' side. A team that underwent a managerial change with Thomas Frank leaving the club and being succeeded by Keith Andrews. There was a lot of questions on who was going to rise to the occasion and help this team, with many of us pointing out that they will be in the relegation battle conversation. That has not been the story thus far this season, and a key part of that is Igor Thiago. He has scored 19 goals thus far in the Premier League and provided 1 assist. So therefore, for his contribution, to the extent that Brentford are nowhere near the conversation of relegation, but rather closer to the conversation of finishing within those European places, does tell you everything you need to know about his contribution to this team. Now, oftentimes people ask, can somebody win PFA Player of the Year without winning the Premier League title? The easy answer is yes. Kevin De Bruyne won it in the 2019-2020 Premier League season when Liverpool were the winners of the competition, as did Mohamed Salah winning it in 2018 when Manchester City won the Premier League title. Other players that have won it without winning the Premier League title have been Gareth Bale on 2 different occasions. Virgil van Dijk has won it before. Steven Gerrard has won it before without necessarily having to win the Premier League title. So, it is not without question that a player can win the PFA Player of the Year without necessarily winning the Premier League title. So therefore, do not rule out Bruno Fernandes just because you think Manchester United won't win the Premier League title. Anyways, do let me know what your thoughts are, your views and comments down in the comment section on that topic, on who you think it should be contender or should be voted PFA Player of the Season for the 2025-2026 Premier League campaign. Otherwise, stay blessed until next time. Bye-bye for now.